Hey everybody, welcome back to another video on the channel, and today Sony has announced that they will not be attending E3 this year in 2020. So this is Sony's second year of not attending E3, and E3 is basically the biggest gaming event or show of the year. This is it where tons of publishers and game developers and console makers, manufacturers, they all come out to announce games and talk about games. And it's just basically everything about video games. So this is where hardware manufacturers like Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo, they come out and they announce hardware, they talk about upcoming hardware and about previous hardware. This is where they announce new games, show off new trailers, talk about upcoming projects and about how well previous projects have performed. Then you have individual publishers like Ubisoft, Activision, Electronic Arts, tons of others. They get up there and they have their own press conferences where they talk about their games and about their businesses and stuff. It's a huge event. There's tons of stuff that goes on there, and it's basically the biggest gaming event of the year, where there's so much gaming information, where tons of games are announced and shown off and stuff at E3. Well, 2020 is the second year that Sony will not be attending. So Sony didn't attend E3 last year in 2019, and a lot of the reason why people are saying that they didn't attend last year is just because it's at the end of the PlayStation 4's life cycle, so they didn't really have anything to show off at E3 2019, so they could have shown off maybe a little bit more of The Last of Us 2, and that'd be about it. What else is coming out for the PlayStation 4 and coming out for this generation, for the rest of 2019 and early 2020? There's basically nothing. So Sony basically just didn't have a ton to do for E3 2019, and that was understandable. It's the one right before the next generation. So for E3 2019, it made sense for Sony not to attend. They probably didn't have a ton of stuff. We're probably instead working a lot on the PlayStation 5. But this is really big news that they're not attending E3 2020. This is the E3 that they should definitely be at, because this is the one right before they ship the PlayStation 5. This would be if Sony didn't attend E3 2013 and they didn't have the PlayStation 4 there. They didn't talk about it at all. They're just yeah, we're not attending E3 2013. So any information about the PlayStation 4, not there. Because if you guys remember, that's basically where the whole downfall of the Xbox One originated from. Was E3 2013 is when Sony just demolished Microsoft in their press conference stuff. That's where they had that video of them showing how to trade games on PlayStation 4, and it just showed a video of somebody handing another person a game. So they had a bunch of stuff like that, and announced the price, that it was cheaper than the Xbox One, and the specs were better. And that's also where Microsoft was screwing up and talking about how they have a different device, the Xbox 360, if you don't have access to the internet, and yada yada yada. It was just kind of a big mess for Microsoft, big win for Sony, but it was huge for the PlayStation 4. That's what really, I think, sold the PlayStation 4 to a lot of people this generation, is at E3 2013. But now they're not attending E3 2020 right before the PlayStation 5. So Sony actually put out a statement about this, and they had to say that we have a great respect for the ESA as an organization. We do not feel the vision of E3 2020 is the right venue for what we are focused on this year. We will build upon our global event strategy in 2020 by participating in hundreds of consumer events across the globe. Our focus is on making sure fans feel part of the PlayStation family and have access to play their favorite content. We have a fantastic lineup of titles coming to PlayStation 4, and with the upcoming launch of PlayStation 5, we are truly looking forward to a year of celebration with our fans. So what does that mean? Well, in the first quote, they say that they have a great respect for the ESA as an organization, but they don't feel that the vision of E3 2020 is the right venue for what they're focused on this year. So ESA is the organization behind E3, and there's been a lot of talk today basically saying that Sony and the ESA aren't exactly on great terms. They're on different pages, if you will. And so Sony just decides to skip E3 2020 because of the organization behind E3. And they say that they will be attending a bunch of different events this year, and that they're going to be focusing on upcoming titles to PlayStation 4, like The Last of Us 2, and also the upcoming launch of the PlayStation 5. But they're not going to attend E3 2020? That seems so strange. E3 isn't actually where they have announced their consoles. So if you guys remember, for the PlayStation 4, that was actually announced a month or two before E3 2013. It was announced at Sony's own event where they announced the PlayStation 4 specs, a whole bunch of different stuff there. And then they clarified some details and provided new stuff at E3 2013. So that's exactly what Sony's going to do again this year. I mean, they have to if they're not attending E3. They're going to have their own event where they reveal the PlayStation 5, they reveal the look at the console, pre-orders go up, they announce specs and different stuff, and presumably E3 would be where they actually are able to give people hands-on with it. They bring PlayStation 5 consoles to E3 and they let people actually play them, and they actually talk about it, and they talk about, you know, all the different games that are going to be coming up on it, show off a bunch of trailers and stuff. But I guess that's not happening. So we probably have like Sony's own event, which will probably be, in my guess, either like April or May. And then we have what, Gamescom in like August. And then the console's most likely going to be launching either November or December. And that's about it. It kind of seems weird. Also, it seems like it's a big opportunity for Microsoft to show Sony up here by showing up to E3, by one, announcing the Xbox Series X. They've already announced it, but they can have their own event where they talk about the specs behind it, maybe pricing, a bunch of different stuff, and then they can even also show up to E3 and be like, hey, here's a bunch of trailers for games that are going to be running on it. Here's Halo Infinite on Xbox Series X. Here's tons of stuff about this brand new console. And if Microsoft is the only one there showing off their hardware, then it's like they're going to wipe the floor, and it's just going to be like an easy win. So I'm not exactly sure why Sony doesn't just like buck up and just deal with it and just show up, especially on a year like this. Seems kind of strange, but it's not my decision. So what do you guys think about this? This is really weird, and I mean, Sony has to do something about this, so they're going to have their own event where they announce the PlayStation 5 and all the details about it. And my guess is Gamescom is the only other place where they really can show off trailers for it or whatever. Maybe they'll just drop them on their YouTube channel or something like that. Just do them as they come out throughout the year or something. I don't know. That's my guess. But let me know your guys' thoughts on this in the comments down below. What do you guys think about Sony not attending E3 2020? Do you guys like E3? I've always been a fan of E3 and watching it. It's so much fun being able to watch all these different games, trailers, and announcements for games, and seeing all these developers and publishers and everybody so excited and enthusiastic about the gaming industry, and it's really cool. And I've always liked it, but let me know your guys' thoughts on this in the comments down below. I'll see you guys next time.